Okay.
Give everybody a minute to get on.
You want to start off?
Well, we're gonna wait until people get on.
Okay.
Oh, look, I'm live.
Yeah, you're live on there. So we probably should not look.
Oh, Yvette's on.
Okay.
Hey, Yvette.
Hey, I can't see the names from this far, but I see you on there. We're just waiting until a few more people get on.
Janine's on. These are all prison wives. Don't be scared.
Oh, hell no. I didn't do it, you know. I learned a long time ago I'm scared of prison wives. So.
It's the prison wives you got to be scared of. I've known Yvette for probably a year or so, probably longer. Janine, she is actually my head admin in my prison wife support group.
Okay.
So she's in here. Lyndon support. She's my right hand cutie.
Oh.
So we're gonna give everybody a couple minutes to log in and
I was told not to lean on the table.
the table's fine.
Oh, okay.
I fixed it.
But I almost pulled the tablecloth off.
Hello, Bianca.
Now I know that name somehow.
Who?
Bianca's name.
Oh.
Might have been from on here.
Hi, Bobby.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yeah,
Oh, you're not late. We haven't started yet. We're just waiting for everybody to kind of log in.
Right. And Stephanie,
Hi,
we
Angela.
decided we're going to do it right during the middle of the Super Bowl next week. Just for you. And we expect you to watch.
Hey, Colleen. Who's playing in the Super Bowl, by the way?
New England and... okay, Stephanie, who's the other team? New England, the Rams.
What kind of man are you? You have to have
I'm a Browns
somebody
fan.
a woman in the other room give you
she
the other
knows because
team, and
told
I
her.
have to fix your table.
Yeah. Yeah, she did fix the table, so nothing would drop this time. We have a few on. Let's wait just 2 more minutes.
Okay.
So we can get more on.
So, before we get started, let's just kind of introduce ourselves again, and that way they'll know who we are. Bianca's Oscar's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that's how I know. I was talking to the messenger. Hi, tell Oscar I said hi too. I was in the same dorm with him at Marion.
So, my name is Candace Hudson, and I have never been incarcerated. However, I have been a prison wife for many years. Colleen is not a wife, it's her daughter. She's trying to help. Well, we have all kinds of people in here.
Right.
So, my husband has actually been incarcerated for 26 years, and he has a life tail. He was a juvenile when he was incarcerated. So tonight's topic is going to be about parole. And Janine said, hey, James.
Which other Janine? Who is she?
She's my right-hand cutie.
Oh, okay.
She runs my group. Okay. So, but the first time I ever went in front of the parole board was back in 1998, because I'm old. And
it's changed a lot since then.
They were on Alum Creek when I went.
Yeah.
And then you can introduce yourself.
They just moved. My name is James Cronenberg. I've seen it from the other side of the fence. A little bit over 25 years as an adult and 5 years as a juvenile. I got convicted my first number at 18. So I went through Old Mansfield. I've seen how the parole board has changed and evolved over the years from Kapaz to Margaret G, to Sarah Andrews, to Cynthia Mauser, to Andre, and to Evil Lady. It just keeps getting worse. Andre probably was one of the best ones, but when Cynthia Mauser was in, she stated that that through paroling people, the worst of the worst is incarcerated, and they had no intention of paroling people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And so we're under the umbrella of the Fair Treatment Reform and Reentry Group, which James is the CEO of. You have had your group or your organization for how long?
We've had I think our 501c3, I don't know if it's 3 years. If Terry's on, she knows exactly the time. The group actually was before we got the 501c3, but we just weren't completely legal.
So we are here. Jennifer White says hello.
Hi, Jennifer.
David Ward says hello.
Hey, David.
James,
David, we're working on your son.
James can't see, so I have to kind of read it to him. What was I going to say? And what does the organization do exactly?
Well, we were founded on the that we were going to help change laws so that our folks behind bars have a fair and transparent parole process, so that they'll go by their programming, their conduct, and their programming, not through nature of offense, which don't change, but people do change, and some of them change for the better. Mm-hmm. Most of them actually change for the better, except maybe a handful.
Right. So we just want to let everyone know that a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, you can incorporate in your own state. However, every state is different in their laws with their parole. It's pretty much all the same, but the statistics that we're going to give is for the state of Ohio. Right. So,
but the planning part pretty much would be the same in every state.
Right.
And Candace would know more about that than I actually would, and Stephanie Drew and some of the folks that had to help people.
Yeah. So, but my suggestion for anybody who is getting ready to go up in front of the parole board is to start preparing, begin almost a year ahead of time to get everything in place, because there's a lot of steps that you need to take and a lot of stuff that you need to do. And if you are writing paper letters, now you're able to submit actually through the website. You're able to do a
email, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a online, I don't remember what they called it, an online form, and you just submit it that way, which they didn't used to do that.
Right.
So you can send letters at any time. They keep them in their file, so you don't necessarily have to do it right before the parole board, which is when a lot of people do.
Another thing that might not be a bad idea, every year have letters sent in showing that they have continued support.
Right. So do you want to go through statistics or have anything to say before we get into preparing?
This is Ohio statistics. I think we're at 16 or 17.
Yeah, 16.75%
pro ratio, which is actually second worst in the nation. Mm-hmm. About a year ago, we were at 2%. But I look for this to go down until we get more of a stability within the parole process. We have roughly 8,000 people in Ohio that has to see the parole board. 4,000 pre-sentence Bill 2, and about 4,000 after Senate Bill 2. Let me explain the two laws for those that don't know it. In 1985, April of 1985, they passed a truth in sentencing bill in Ohio, which was supposed to be tough on crime, stricter, harsher sentences. But those people that had 25-year tails under the new law was doing between 3 and 5 years. The only ones that have stayed the same for the most part is lifers. That's why when we refer to the old law, we also refer to the new law when it comes to lifers. But I know more about the old law. But after 1996, we just had a flood of people where it came to something like 40% was doing 2 years or less, and that became a revolving door. And when certain people got out that was doing that two years or so, or even up to 7 years, they committed a crime, they would say that the parole board paroled them, which they didn't. And then you had Jerry Revish, you know, instigating it, you know, from our news out here saying that it was the parole board's responsibility and they let people down. But it wasn't. The people that's done 20, 25, 30, 35 years, their recidivism rate is at 10% in the state of Ohio. Murder's the lowest recidivism rate. That's at 3%. Sex offenders that are treated is at 5.5%. Arson, home invasion, burglaries at around a 42%. So, you know, but our folks are least likely to come back. Let them home while they're able to still work, not when they're 60, 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, under
or
the
92.
the ones under the old law.
Right.
But for the fiscal year of 2018, I don't know if you can see that. No. That's how many. It was 1,242.
That saw the parole board?
That saw the parole board, and only 208 were granted.
Wow.
So.
And only one person from Richland this year. So those are awful statistics. But with the new development with Shirley Smith coming out, and I hope you're watching this, Shirley, because you are helping us out with your honesty. With the new evidence, the stuff that just came out, we are asking that the parole board takes everyone that has had a parole hearing in the last 2 years. We're asking for them to be reheard. We're asking for the resignation of Cynthia Mauser, Mr. Hulk, and let's throw Venters in it as well. I probably pronounced her name wrong.
Yeah, it is right. And
but the parole board right now has 7 parole board members. You cannot have a full hearing until you have at least 9 parole board members.
There's supposed to be 12, right?
They can have up to 12. They don't have to have it. But when you have 12 parole board members, that's over $1 million worth of salary that could be used towards reintegration or reentry. To me, it's a waste of money. Then they have 2 victim advocates, Miss Venters and a psychologist. I forget what her name is, but we don't have an advocate on behalf of the inmates. That's something else we're pushing. You know, and right now I'm not the parole board probably is not a fan of mine right now, but they're not our obligation.
Right.
The folks behind bars are.
Right.
But I don't want the people that have loved ones in prison to go against the parole board, I want everyone to write a letter and ask that their loved one is brought back up, but let us do the fighting. And the inmates need to sit back and let us do the fighting as well.
Right. And which on February 21st, we will be down at the State House for Legislative Day, presenting our final proposal.
Right, which I should get in hopefully this week.
Right. And meeting with, how many meetings you have
so
set
far
up?
I have 7 meetings set up, but I want to make about 4 more. It says 35 going and 270 possibly. We need to pack that coffee shop.
Yeah. So if there's any of you that are in the Ohio area and you would like to join us on February 21st to show support and have your voice be heard, let us know. We will be meeting at the coffee shop at 12:30.
Right. You just walk in the front door, walk all the way straight in the back, and the coffee shop will be on the right.
Right.
So, and bring your own coffee, trust me. Another thing that I want to mention, since we have people from all these other states, is our national protest. I believe it's May 19th at 11 a.m. I'm asking each state to meet at their state house. If you don't have a parole board, that's fine. Unfair treatment of inmates, and I'm sure you could think of 1,000 other things to protest. Deaths, the drugs in the system. But there's only like 5 states without a parole board. So unfair parole practice and unfair treatment. Let's plan it. The 19th of May at 11 a.m. at the State House. And let's share videos back and forth and put each other on live from each state. Then we're going to really get the word out.
And for those of you that have never protested, you have to do it at least once, because it is, well, it's fun, first of all, yeah. But it's great to get out, meet people, network, let your voice be heard, make your own posters. We've made t-shirts. all kinds of stuff.
But remember too, when we protest, we're
It's
respectful,
friendly.
but we get the word out. We get loud and noisy. We don't block driveways, and we don't use profanity. We're professional. We're better than
we
the states
peaceful
are.
protest.
Right, most of the time. And I've been to a few that got pretty wild over the years. But I won't participate in them. I don't want to go back to prison. So.
There's a whole lot of things I could say right now, but I won't. So, what else? I think that's about all for the announcements.
Right.
One thing that I would recommend before you get into preparing for the parole is to go to your state's parole website and research. We copied off the handbook today for the Ohio Parole Board. Read through your state's parole board handbook and see what their this is it right here, and see what their rules and regulations are, things of that nature.
Maybe we should go over the list of the parole board members so the Ohio people at least know.
I didn't bring that.
Oh, you didn't? I could probably name them all, but I'll probably leave one or two out. No, that should be in there.
Oh, in here?
Yeah, there. It should be one of the pages. It's in the handbook part. Maybe
Well,
it's not.
this is the list.
No,
I don't see it.
Yeah, it's not. I have it though in my file right there. I had that blue thing down there. See, we're both prepared. She does the hard work. I just do the slight work.
So have any of you guys protested that are watching? Let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Put it in the comments.
But you could actually take this home with you. We're not going to go over the list of the Ohio Parole Board, but you can find it on the website, drc.com, and scroll down where it says Pro, click on it, and it has a handbook there. You could download the handbook. You could search out the rules and regulations. Like a lot of people in Ohio, and we just had a couple ladies say they didn't, what can I do to prepare for a parole board? They didn't know about the family conference.
Yeah, that's what I was about to go over.
Right, which Candace knows more about that since she's been part of that.
Right. I've been to several family meetings with the parole board, but I'm not sure about all states. If you're allowed, you would actually have to contact the parole board in your state, or like I said, just Google the
handbook. But sometimes some stuff's not in the handbook that you're allowed to do.
Well, it'll be on the website probably. But they have what's called an Offender Day conference, and here they allow you to come 60 days prior. My suggestion, and you can speak on behalf of your loved one, and they typically like it to be family. Here in Ohio, you're only allowed to take 3 people, and they typically like it to be family or someone who is going to be playing an active role in their reentry, their home plan, their reentry, their support, that type thing.
What can the family members bring to the family hearings?
My suggestion, now you can either do it in person or you can do it over the telephone. If you can, I would probably go in person.
They come to your county.
Yeah, well, here in Ohio, you can either do it in Columbus or Cleveland.
Oh.
So those are the only 2 choices. And I would do your conference closer to when the date that they're gonna go. Well, they don't give them a date here. It's just a month. But I would do it right before then. And then so that way it's still fresh in their mind when they go to their hearing. And then you don't actually get to schedule when you go. They kind of tell you when to go. You don't get to really pick the date. And on the Ohio website, you're able to submit in support or opposition. So just know that people are allowed to get on there and oppose their parole hearing also. But you can submit an online form, or you can write a paper letter and submit it. My suggestion would be to submit a paper letter, and also, yeah, you don't have to be family, Shannon. It just has to be someone that is going to be playing a
vital role.
Yeah, it can be a pastor, it can be a counselor, it can be anyone that's going to play an active role in their home plan, basically.
Right.
So when you do submit an online form, it is confidential. They don't put it, it's not printed anywhere on the website or anything like that. You do have to know their name and their DRC number. And if you're doing a paper letter, you want to make sure that that is like in the very top of your letter. When I submitted mine, when I went in, she made me write his name and number real big on the top. Even though it was already written like in the first sentence, they made me rewrite it. So, let's see.
And also for the family conference, it doesn't have to be a parole board member there. It could be a hearing officer as well.
Yeah, they'll tell you who they are when you go. In there, if they're a parole member or they're a hearing officer. So no, I got actually my mouth.
Well, we could talk a little bit about what, because now the next step would be the inmate actually going to the parole board.
Right, I have that. Your loved one also needs to write a letter. But my suggestion is to, write your letter, but also write your letter so you can hand it to them while you're at the family meeting and they can read it. Now, I read my letter and gave my letter to them, so she had to read it. But I also had his home plan written down on there. But I'll let you talk about as far as your loved one writing a letter on their own behalf.
Right. What my recommendation has always been is when letters are written, the person that's going to be going to the hearing, a letter gets sent to them, then they send a copy of all the letters to the inmate. The inmate will make copies and put them in their institutional file. So really, it's 3 times you're going to have letters put in. One is at the family conference. The inmate's going to... Actually, I'm trying to think. The inmate would put in his file, and the inmate would keep a copy. Mm-hmm. So actually, they're
supposed to do that,
right? And that's the proper way. The DRC doesn't always put it in the file like they claim they do.
They don't always send it to the prisoner either, because Dwayne didn't get his.
No, and a lot of people are confused on the institutional file for the inmate. The inmate only can see his side of the programming and his conduct. Anything from the victim, he's not permitted to see.
Right.
And that's one thing we're trying to open up in our legislative, that the inmate has that right since it's going against him.
Because I think we've been getting word that they're being told what the victim advocates are saying.
Right.
But in the hearing, and that's not... I don't know.
Right, it's a corrupt system. I mean, it's more red tape. But 2 months after you go to the family conference, and that's something I've never had to deal with myself, the inmate gets ready to go to the parole board. And pretty much we know when it's going to be, because the parole board usually comes back at the same time every month. Some is the last week, so you know it's probably going to be then.
Well, they gave us a date when we went in. They told us his date, and then we told him.
And of course that can change, but normally it's pretty accurate. Each institution has a parole board member that's over that institution. But when the inmate actually goes in there, appearance is so vital. I've seen people go in there that with their shirts untucked, and that's not a good sign to get in there. I've also saw people actually talk themselves into a parole and out of a parole. That's very seldom, though. I'm a firm believer they already had their mind made up before the hearing. They're going to be 7 parole board members through a video. They cannot vote any otherwise. If there's 6 or 5, they have to take it back to central office for a vote. And they're not very polite. Mr. Hulk is very disrespectful towards the inmate. Ignore it, don't get upset. Bite your tongue.
Right.
Then they will know that day if they're going to go. Well, they should know that day if they're going to go to a Cobra or not. And Cobra, a lot of people don't understand what Cobra is. They think that's part of the full board. It's not. It's a group of hearing officers and parole board members that investigates the inmate from the victim's perspective, just anything that's actually against him. Then they make their recommendation to the full board. That's where you can have an attorney present. And in the state of Ohio, you can request a state public defender, which does just as good as a paid attorney for that. So you could call Elizabeth Miller at the state public defender's office. She's going to kill me for saying that, but she's got some good attorneys that work for her. Then, of course, like I said, they'll make the recommendation if they want him to go to a full board or not. Then if he goes to a full board, he's got a 50-50 chance.
Mildred said, "Hey, guys."
Hey, Mildred, you need to make some comments because I know what you're talking about. We're talking about how corrupt the parole board is. We already know that, though. Who's that? Stephanie?
Shannon.
Oh. Look like
said that she's in Kentucky where her loved one is, her boyfriend, was very rude.
Yeah. I think, doesn't Kentucky only have 2 or 3 prisons there?
In Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We used to have in Ohio 48. But they closed a lot of camps. They consider the camps a prison. They closed a bunch over the years. But now they're just getting ready to open some more because they're pushing 54,000 in Ohio.
Yeah. Very overcrowded here. Definitely.
All the cell blocks were meant to be one-man cells, and that doubled. Grafton was meant to hold 652 inmates. They got 1,300. Marion was meant for 1,500. They got, I think, 2,800 or 2,700, something like that. Mildred might know. I forget. I was at Marion my last 10 years. But each prison is growing. Chillicothe has the most. Theirs is over 3,000. But if you look at Texas, 52,000 in one of theirs. So we're small compared to some other states.
Right. So back to your loved one writing a letter. It's when they submit their letter, how do they submit it?
That inmate usually puts theirs in their file. Institution
they
file.
Submit it to their case manager,
right?
Or
right, but I would still mail a hard copy to the parole board, and do it that way, and so that it would be two places, but also send one to your loved one that's going to the full board hearing. I mean, to the family
we did
hearing.
That too. We had all our bases covered.
Right, and there's some of the ladies here that can help you with maybe preparing for the parole board. Candace is an expert at it now. Stephanie's learning how to do it, and some other ladies. That's something I've never had to deal with, from being on the inside. My parents didn't know what to do neither. Like so many people, they do not tell you that you have a right to have a family hearing. So a lot of inmates don't even know that.
Stephanie said when you work on your plan, muscle sheets will become your best friend.
Yeah, well, she just told me what a muscle sheet was. I felt like an idiot.
But you want to make sure that your letter or his letter, her letter, whoever it may be, is professional but still heartfelt and to the point. When I had my plan in front of the parole member, she sort of read through maybe the first few pages and then it was tucked away. So you want to make sure that you're not overwhelming them because they're not going to read it.
Right.
And they're rude. They don't care. It doesn't matter.
You talk about the, well, you had Ventures too.
Yeah, the parole. Your
the
parole
one that
plan.
me and Terry had from our friend John was actually real nice. But that's a very seldom amount. What's Mildred saying? Is that Mildred?
That's Shannon.
Oh, that's
Says
Shannon.
my
yeah.
boyfriend has a detainer to go to another state once he's released. I can't.
Okay,
read the
get
full
into
thing.
the retainers and check the law yourself.
Wait.
I believe they have something like 2 months they have to pick them up with, or 2 weeks. It's one of those.
She said her has a detainer to go to another state once he's released. If he gets parole, will they still have him do a home plan, etc., even though he isn't actually coming home? Yeah.
Yes, because he could be coming home.
They want to see his, and they want to know that he's got support still.
But remember, just because he has a detainer, that does not mean they're going to pick him up.
Right, Mildred. They won't read all the documents, but it's still going to be right there in their file.
Right, and Mildred is another one that knows a lot about preparing for the parole board hearings. So I'm actually learning on this part.
Right. But what you want to include in your letter is who is commenting under fair treatment reform? That's throwing me off.
I don't know. It's not me. It could be Terry.
Oh, okay. Maybe it is.
Hey, say your name. Who's under fair treatment, so we know who we're
Because
talking
it keeps
to.
popping up. I'm like, isn't that us?
That could be Victoria too.
It might be. But you want to keep, like when we did our parole plan, basically they want to, their whole purpose is that your loved one is not going to reoffend. That's their whole issue, and they will tell you that 100 times during your family meeting. That's their whole purpose, and they're going to question you. It must be, because she said John spent an hour and a half being yelled at by Venters, Hawk, and Smith.
Right. Right. Yeah, John. I've talked to John about this in the past, but that's happened to so many inmates, though.
Yeah, it's Terry.
Yeah. I kind of figured it was.
She said that's what came up. I know, it kept popping up. I'm like, who in the world is under fair treatment? So you want to make sure that the people, well, when you start your letter, you want to state who you are. You want to give an explanation of your relationship to your loved one, and you want to like write why you feel they should be granted parole. And you want to be as detailed as possible without being overwhelming with it.
Should they do one-page letters?
My letter was actually 5 pages, I believe, front and back. But that's because I included everything in it, as far as like I had a job set up, which you're able to do that. I had programs set up. These are things, this is why we say you want to start a year ahead of time, because you want to get these things in the works. As far as maybe if you don't have a a place where they can parole to. Say you live in an apartment complex and that apartment complex isn't going to let a felon live there. You have to secure proper housing for them. And you have to be, write that in your letter. If your apartment manager says, yes, they can come live here, you can include that letter. If you have religious or spiritual guidance, you can list their name, their number, if they're willing to write a letter. Also, as far as the men are concerned, it seems to be a lot of women that show up at the family visits. It seems to be a lot of women that are writing the letters, but they also want to see that they have male support when they get out. Right. So if they, if they become overwhelmed, if their wife or their girlfriend is, freaking out over them, wanting some freedom.
One suggestion is, and one thing that I've told the men when I've written in and talked to them is, if they could find 5 men to be on the support team, including the mother, wife, as long as they're not using addicts, and women, have 5 women to be on their support team, and put that in the letter so that they have somebody to call at any time of day or night.
Right, and be like their sponsor,
right?
Kind of, but and also if they are a addict or a recovering addict. Set up programs that they can go to. I know when we went to Traveris breakfast.
Oh yeah.
I got so much information, and I was just networking with everybody there to get as much information as I could get. And when you tell people your story and what you're doing and things like that, people are willing to help you. You just have to open your mouth and talk to them. And sometimes if organizations can't help you, they might know who can help you. So I had counseling set up for him. He's not an addict, but I had counseling set up for him through NAMI, because they were there.
That's the state agency.
Yeah, NAMI, that's in every state, right?
I think there's a national NAMI in Washington.
Okay.
That's something we can find out, though.
Yeah, so NAMI is a good place. And like we were saying, I guess I said sponsors, but it'd be like male mentors.
Right.
That they can have to talk to that are men.
And if they're ex-offenders, make sure they've been out for a while and have proven themselves.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because they're not real keen on that either. Even like, I guess it would be hard for my husband, but previous teachers, or if they went to college, like a professor, anybody who would be willing to. NAMI is N-A-M-I, right?
N-A-M-I, yes.
N-A-M-I, yes.
We will find out if it's national. We'll find out and let you know next week.
Because I can't remember when we were at that breakfast, but I could have sworn that she said they were.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
They're an awesome organization. They deal with mental health issues. They do have a lot of programming for reentry and things like that.
Then look at your
Mildred
counties,
said we must demand an overhaul of the parole board. They don't follow the process. They really don't follow the process.
And that's what a proposal's all about, is to force them into being accountable and to knock off the shenanigans that they have done for years.
C. Grady said, is fair treatment reform only in Ohio? It is only in Ohio, but every state has an organization that can help you. In March, we will actually be doing a segment on how to advocate for your loved one and networking and things like that, how to get out and get involved. But that is my...
Now, if they have an
Bianca
issue...
said NAMI is national.
Okay. Now, if you have an issue in your state, feel free to reach out to us. We have made some contacts in other states, and someday we're hoping to be national.
Yeah.
But we have to network a lot better.
Right. So, but there's lots of things that you can get off the internet to help you as far as writing a letter. Like I said before, we are a nonprofit organization, so we don't charge for our services. However, if you want to reach out and we can give you an outline or help you with your letter,
you can
we
also
do accept. We do
Google
accept
Pro Board
donations.
letters. Google Pro Board letters. That's how I do mine, and they said I had some of the best letters, and I didn't even write it. So.
I've written plenty of support letters.
Right.
But you just want to keep it as professional as you can, but still not like you're robotic. Right. You still want to add,
and let's
heartfelt.
If we're at the end, we want to remind people how vital Legislative Day is in Ohio and in other states. We'll be able to show you our proposal. If you have a pro board there, it should help other states as well. But 21st of February, we're going to meet at 12:30 at the coffee shop in the State House. We need to pack that place. Beverly's coming up from...
I can't see the full comment, sorry. Go ahead and then I'll read it.
Beverly's coming up from Michigan, the one that's drafted up our proposal. My tongue's getting tired. I've asked her to be the spokesperson for the news media, and I'll help out with that. But she's more educated when it comes to putting together the proposal. There's statistics on financial. It goes over a 10-year period and a yearly period to show how much money the state is using to house people that should have been home already.
And for those of you that are in Ohio, some I know in here are part of our parole committee. And a lot of people have reached out asking how can they help. And, right now is the legislative day, obviously on February 21st. But we are actually putting together a strategy moving forward. But we're not going to actually execute anything until after we put our proposal in, right?
I don't want the copies of our final draft to go out to too many people until after Legislative Day. Then, if somebody wants a copy, send us your email shortly after that. We'll make sure you get a copy. Candace is the chair of the Pro Board Committee, along with Mildred Gonzalez. Mildred is very educated when it comes to the Pro Board and very aggressive, which we need people like that, and outspoken. So reach out to Mildred as well if you have any questions.
Right. And you can reach out to us at any time. If we don't know the answer, we will try to get the answer to you. Debbie Beach said, so proud of you too. Honestly, great job.
Hi, Debbie.
I had the pleasure of meeting Debbie. Her son is a juvenile lifer, just like my husband. So we bonded at one of our protests. They came down from Cleveland. They did a great job. And let me read to you, hold on, what C. Grady said. I think I posed a question about a geriatric program here in New York that is just sitting on the table. And we did talk about that, doing a segment on that too, right?
On what?
The geriatric.
I don't know what that is. I don't.
Old people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I fell in that category.
Because he's...
several years ago when the governor of Ohio first got elected, he tried...
She's in New York.
Comer was not a... I'm not going to say nothing about him. I just got yelled at the other day. For those that are in Ohio, they tried to do a law that anybody who was 65 and older would automatically come home. And, of course, the Senate wouldn't go along with the governor. So that didn't go very far. Other states have tried that as well.
Well, I know C is active in advocating and networking and stuff, too. And that would just be my suggestion, is just to research, reach out to people.
And let's share information
organizations.
back and
Right.
forth to see what's working for you, what's working for us, which is
us.
nothing.
Right.
Then we just go back and forth and learn from each other.
Right. And know your laws. Become educated. I mean, education is power. And what else was I going to say? Oh, so next week, we will not be going live on Sunday because it is the Super Bowl.
Because Stephanie Drew was upset about it, so we decided to go win.
Oh, Mildred C is in New York. Also, maybe you guys can talk. So we will be going live Saturday night instead at 6 o'clock, and we are just doing a question and answer on any topic that you want to talk about. So bring anything that you may want answered. We might not be able to answer all your questions, but we can definitely take them and get back to you.
And I could Google some of them up on my computer too while we're doing the live if I had to.
And then on the 10th, we are doing a segment on juveniles being convicted as adults. And we will have a guest speaker then. On the 10th, he agreed to come. I don't know if you...
Is he going to come live on it, or is he
He's
coming
going
over
to... He's not here. He's just going to come on live, but...
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I guess he posted his story, and he's willing to come on live.
Oh,
but
that
I
young
didn't
man,
know.
okay.
Yeah, I just didn't know if he would want me
Right,
to.
right. And if any of you would like to be on live with us sometime on one of the topics, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, but Jeff Johnson will be coming on live with us, and he actually was just released. So he's going to come in and tell his story about the effects of charging a juvenile, because this is so, it's a big topic right now, and they're trying to change laws, and it's something that's very close to me because my husband was a juvenile.
And at one time, they executed juveniles. The last time was in 1984. A 14-year-old boy was executed by the electric chair. That's pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and then after that, we have drugs in the prison system. We'll be doing a segment on that, and then the week after that will be education in the prison system.
Yeah, a lot of those topics are very important, so that people can understand what is happening in there, and how rampant the drugs are in, for one thing. The juvenile situation, I think right now the oldest person that was convicted as juvenile, I think, is 62 right now. I just heard that from somebody the other day. Not sure if that's actually correct or not, but I'll find that out this week.
Mildred said her son was a youth. He went in at 19.
Right, I went in at 18. I know, and Mildred, your son was one of the nicest people to me. I used to get Debbie's off him all the time.
So does anybody have questions for us before we go?
I would like to give them a website, if I can, before we go. And if anybody would like to make any type of donation, they could do through the website. It's www.fairtreatmentreformandreentry.org. Again, it is www.fairtreatmentreformandreentry.org.
Fair Treatment and Reform and Reentry says, let's do one on Innocence 2 and how it affects you when you go to the board.
We are, and we're going to have Jeannie on, who was a nurse before she got locked up. She proved her innocent with actually Beverly's help. She got out, got her nursing license back, and now she speaks at national conferences. So we're planning on having her on. I think you said something maybe in March.
I wrote, it might not be in this one, but at the beginning of March, actually March 3rd, we're going to be doing the advocating. The 10th is going to be a question and answer any topic, so probably the week after that, then we can do it.
Okay. I just had to work it out with Jeannie or whatever her name is. She's on here too.
We want to create a gmail.com for our committee on parole reform.
Yeah, Candace can actually come up with one, like fair treatment reform and reentry number 2. We have a number 1, then we have fair treatment reform at gmail.com. I would actually do it fair treatment reform number 2 at gmail.com or something, then or whatever Candace wants to do. But I would not suggest that everybody operates it. I would say 1 or 2 people, would be the ones to respond.
Terry said, Mildred, I'll join, but I'm an angry one against the parole board. Trust me, Terry, I'm an angry one too. And we wanted to sound off so badly after his parole hearing, which I'm sure you wanted to as well. However, we're trying to, we've said a lot, but there's going to be a lot that's going to come out. But the thing that is not great, but is the fact that Shirley Smith coming out and saying these things are exactly what the men and women have been telling us for years.
And this is the time to get something done. This is the best time that it came out for our proposal for changes with the parole board, with possibly resignations. Let's push Cynthia Miles out, Hark out, Venters out. There's a couple more I could say. I just can't remember their names. But we're not through, though.
We're not done. And like James said, let us do the advocating. Let us do the fighting. We've got... everybody can join in.
We're going to need
all
your help.
Force.
Right. Right after Legislative Day, we're going to need emails sent galore. But we need you at Legislative Day if you're able. If your health or is not able, maybe you could do emails, phone calls. That'd be great.
You need a ride in the Columbus area, I'm able.
Who's that?
It's Mildred. Yes, the time is ripe, guys. And Stephanie's angry for.
Stephanie's always angry. Hey, Mildred, can you come up on the 12th? What day is it? Oh, 21st. We could go out for coffee again.
And bring donuts, because...
Oh, yeah. Don't forget the donuts. But Mildred's one of the greatest people to have because she's got so much knowledge with her studying of the parole board.
Terry said, sad it took someone people know to open eyes when we have been telling them all along. And, they're eating during the parole hearings, which is a tactic for the parole members to not be paying full attention. It's also a tactic for the men to lose concentration. Yes, Bobby, of course. To lose concentration because they're eating, because it's all done on video. So they're eating and the guys are watching them, and that's distracting to them, and that's just another one of their tactics. Their biggest thing is not paroling them because of their crime. And that's something that should not be happening. The crime is done. It can't be reversed. And they're not focusing on anything that they have done good. Right. It's not been brought up. They didn't have any of my husband's certificates or anything in his file when I went to the family meeting, and they're supposed to have that. When he went to his meeting, they did not even bring it up. They didn't say one thing. And my husband actually wrote to senators to get funding for his own outside education. He went to college through funding that he himself either
advocated for.
Right. And they didn't acknowledge any of that. And I have all of his letters from... the senators and stuff.
What else did a parole board do wrong when your husband went in? They didn't have the right file.
Oh, they did. They had somebody else's file. They brought somebody else's information, and we have been hearing that forever.
Right. And then when my friend John went up, and Terry can vouch this, they were so disrespectful to him. They basically were saying he's a racist, which he's not. They told me the same thing, and I'm not. I just didn't like anybody. But, you know, they like to call names. You know?
We were accused of being married to fool the parole board, is what I was told. And the parole lady said that we were trying to fool the parole board by getting married, which that has nothing to do with anything.
No. No, they would come up with all these accusations.
Terry said they didn't care what was in John's file concerning anything he had done. They yelled at High for having, or I think that's supposed to be him, for having so much support.
They sure mentioned my letter, though. You know, but, I mean, it wasn't bad, though, but get as many letters as you can and start getting support and networking with family members. Mm-hmm. And just don't give up. And the inmate needs to not give up. And a lot of them are giving up because they're tired of getting 4 or 5 times going to the pro board and keep getting flaps as much as 10 years.
Mildred said, I think Bianca can help setting and formatting some documents.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we can talk about that in the parole committee chat.
Right.
Definitely. So any questions before we go?
We do have Columbus Zoo tickets still available. 2 of them, $20.
Columbus Zoo?
Yeah.
I thought they were gone.
Lady never got back to me.
Oh. What about the Zambezi Bay?
Those are gone.
Oh.
Your friend
Bobby?
Yeah, I got them.
She must be taking me.
I thought I was going.
Wait,
but what
she's
would
not taking donuts.
Oh, yeah, and what would I do at one of those things? I could be at the reception stand.
Stephanie said they commented that there's no way we could, we could be just friends because we're so close in age and have known each other for over 40 years. Well, actually, my husband and I knew each other from when he was 15. So we knew each other 27 years ago. We have a sordid story, but...
How long has your husband been in now?
26 years.
And he got convicted at 17?
Yep.
So you really never had a childhood.
Bobby said she's going to take me.
Hey, what about me? There's only 2 tickets. I guess, I guess I lost again. The funniest thing I got today, they said the only reason we get so many views is because Candace is the pretty one. So
we're like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. I'm Beauty and this is Beast.
Right. And we'll be back next Saturday night at 6 p.m. Maybe a couple minutes late.
Yeah, Saturday night.
Right. And Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday, yeah. So we're going Saturday. But
right.
Yeah, you know my husband. He's special.
Everybody's husband is, though.
Oh, Yvette said, my heart is pounding for my loved one.
What institution is he in, or what state?
I think she's in Washington, actually.
Okay.
Yvette. John, 10 to life, been in 30.
Yep. 10, and his minimum was 10. That's when he was supposed to be paroled.
Because if they, under the new law now, that's what it would have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Everybody's saying we're doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll be honest, I'm probably the most ignorant on the new law because I've studied so much under the old law. I know Mildred's son's under the new law, and he should have been paroled already. Mm-hmm. And so many others. And they're facing the same problems as the rest of us are. Mm-hmm. I was under the
Lindy.
old law. Oh.
All right, so thank you everyone for joining us and making this a success and helping us to get the word out. And we had a lot of information tonight, a lot of people on, and
thank God for cheat sheets from the internet.
So if anybody needs any information, feel free to reach out to us. We have a whole organization that can help you. Like I said, if we don't know the answer, we can get you the answer. We are a nonprofit organization. We don't charge for our services, but we do take donations through our website at
www.fairtreatmentreformandreentry.org, or you could also email us at fairtreatmentreform@gmail.com, and the Pro Committee will come up with an email as well.
Yes.
And if you're interested in sitting on the Pro Committee, inbox Candace.
Yep, inbox me or Mildred, and we can add you on.
Right. And, it's a time to learn. You don't have to know everything about the Pro Board to sit on the committee, because it's a time to learn.
And it's just the time for us to all come together and have our voices be heard. And like I said, we are working on a strategy right now, moving forward to execute our plan after the legislative day. That's what my boss says.
Yeah, and we really got to hit the State House hard this year. Networking. We're going to be working on a petition drive that Beverly's going to come up with next. We're going to do that statewide, so we could also get on the ballot if need be. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not about us, it's about those that we serve.
All right, everyone. So, have a good evening. Again, I'm Beauty, and this is
The Beast.
And we will see you Saturday.